one more step to make us fully compliant with our new LRCFT contract is to use the Canvas gradebook. For me, as an instructor, when learning management systems were first invented, and that's how old I am, I loved the gradebook. I thought it was the best feature of all because I could put my students' grades there. And even though I didn't have them do assignments online, it was all on paper, by putting their grade information online, they had access to it at any time. And they only had access to their own personal grades. They don't have access to anyone else's grades. And I found that ever since I've been doing that, I don't ever get a question from a student, hey, what's my grade in the class? Because they can go into the Canvas gradebook and they can, again, they see that at any time. So for me, this is one of these win-win, like really big bang for the buck type of things that any class will benefit from using an LMS. And now it happens to be a requirement for us in Los Rios. It does say in the contract that the actual wording is using the gradebook consistent with the syllabus. So if we've got assignments listed on the syllabus, we should be having entries for those items in the Canvas gradebook. You can add gradebook items at any time, so you don't have to do it all at once from the beginning, but I hope that you'll see the benefit to students when you do that from the beginning, and I'll show that to you with the example that I'm going to do. How we add items to the Canvas gradebook is we have to create assignments. And the assignments page in Canvas, like the quizzes page, is hidden by default. And on the assignments page is everything that is worth points in the class. So anything that's worth points. So an ungraded survey or a practice quiz, those are two other options that we have. Those won't appear here because those points don't count towards the overall score for the class. If you have an ungraded discussion, that won't appear here because, again, those points don't count, or there's no points, so it doesn't count towards the grade. There's also a possibility to do an ungraded assignment. That's one exception to what I'm just saying right now. If you have an ungraded assignment, like a practice, right, up, your early draft for an essay, for example, or early draft for your lab report, and you're using the, upload assignments in Canvas, that will actually appear here, even if it's worth 0 points. Here are the 3 steps. Create assignments with due dates. So that's what I'm going to do for you right now. And then after you've created those assignments, after you've graded those assignments, entering scores is actually pretty easy. You can just type scores directly into the grades page. It's a spreadsheet in effect, so you can type numbers using the keyboard. If you have additional feedback for students, you can also add that via the speed grader. And again, I'll show you all that in my demonstration. So I'm on the assignments page of my Canvas course. The assignments, I'm not going to worry about linking these assignments to other pages like I showed you with that quiz, because assignments also appear on the syllabus page, and of course they appear on the grades page too. And again, we're going to see all this from a student's perspective. So I'm going to create, I've got 5 assignments that I'm going to create. On the assignments page, there are 2 different ways I can create an assignment. I can select the assignment select the button that says plus assignment at the top. And when I select this, I get all of the options for an assignment. So this is how I would actually create it if I was having my students upload a file or doing those kinds of things. The other option I can do is inside the assignments group, there's always at least one on this page. So I can select the plus button, and this will give me a little tiny dialog, which will allow me to type a little bit less information, which is going to be a little bit faster. So I'll select that plus button, and I'm going to create an assignment called Exam 1. And Exam 1 is actually going to be done in class on September 6th. And my class meets at 4 p.m., so I'll put 4 p.m. there. And this is going to be worth 50 points. And I'll select Save and Publish. Okay, I'm going to stick with the keyboard here because Canvas remembers the last thing that I selected, which is the plus button to add an assignment within this group. So I'll select the return key on my keyboard. The next item I'm going to create is called Paper 2. That's going to be due October 5th. And my class meets at 10 a.m. on that day, and that one's worth 75 points. And I hit the Enter key. Oops, I didn't hit the Publish button. I'll catch up to that in a moment. The next one is going to be my Lab Report 3. And that's going to be due November 6th. And we meet for lab at 9 a.m. That one's worth 25 points. Oh, I didn't hit Publish again. I'll fix that in a minute. Fourth assignment is going to be participation. And participation is, I'm going to do 1 grade for the whole semester. It's not due till the end of class. So I will say December 7th. It's the last day that we meet. I'm not going to put a time there. Participation is worth 100 points. And then finally, the last assignment I'm going to put is my final exam. We meet for the final exam on December 13th at 1 p.m. and that's worth 250 points. Okay. So again, I was just using the keyboard, right? I hit the enter key, I typed, I hit the tab key to move from field to field within that dialog box. I forgot, I guess when I hit the enter key, it hit save and it didn't do publish. So I can actually just go click, 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 and I've just published those other 4 items I just created. So I've just created 5 assignments plus that quiz. And now I'm ready to enter grades for my students. Again, this is assuming that it's all in person. So on September 6th, my students have taken their exams. I've either run it through the Scantron or graded it if they're essay questions, whatever it is. And now I'm ready to give my students some feedback. And how I do that is I go to the grades page. All my students will be there, right? So you see I've got some Hobbits in this class, and I'm going to, and there's a test student as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. You can see that the Hobbits haven't taken the syllabus quiz yet, but they did do the exam number 1. So I can click in the cell and I can just type the number that they earned. I'm going to use the keyboard to arrow down to the next cell and then arrow down to the next cell. And as I type these numbers, my students are getting that feedback instantly. They're getting a notification saying a score has been provided for you. If I want to see what students see, in fact, I'll give my test student a score as well. At any time in Canvas, from the course homepage or from lots of other places inside Canvas, you can select the Student View button. It will show you exactly what a nameless student would see. It actually creates or activates what's called a test student user. So my test student user, right, when they log into the class, there's the course homepage, right? You see the contact information for the professor. If they go to syllabus, they've got a link to the syllabus. There's that syllabus quiz. So the test student can click on the quiz and say, you know what, I think I'm going to take this quiz now. 2 business days, 700 points, great, submit quiz. The test student now, again, I'm in student view. I can go over to the grades page, and this student can see that, yeah, this student got 2 out of 2. They got 50 out of 50 on exam 1. So the students, again, they get this information. It's there right away for them. I'm going to select leave student view and go back and talk about the additional feedback I have. So let's talk about paper number 2. I'll stick with the test students. I'm going to give the students 60 points, but you know what? I want to give them a little bit more feedback. Yes, I might hand back their paper with my feedback on it, but I'm going to give it, I can also give additional feedback by selecting this arrow to view the tray that pops out, right? It's got this students, their, the name of the assignments, of course, the score. I can mark it as late or whatever I want to. I can also leave a comment here. So here's where I can add, right, some comments. I've got the ability to add emojis if I wanted to. I'm actually going to cut that, but instead go to the speed grader. And the speed grader allows me to do an additional item here. So I'll go to speed grader. I'm now in the speed grader view. If this were an online assignment, the thing that my students submitted, so whether it was taking a quiz or whether it was submitting a paper online, right, that would appear on the left side of the page here. But on the right side, I have the same information that I had in that little tray, right? I've got the ability to type a score. I can type comments. In addition to that, I can add, I can attach a file. I can also attach media comments. If I wanted to record a video or audio and attach it, I can do that as well. And then there's a submit button here. And so let's go back to the course homepage and we'll see what the test student sees. That's the student view button. They go to grades, and then they can see here paper 2, right? They got a 60 out of 75. This other icon here indicates to this student user that they have feedback, additional feedback from their instructor. And there's the comment right there. All right. So for adding the assignments for my students to comply with our new responsibilities under the contract, I went to the assignments page. I also, and I selected this little plus symbol that's part of this assignments group, and it was pretty easy. I hope you saw for me to just enter a bunch of assignments in sequence. I don't have to make the assignments page visible to my students. because they see the assignments on the grades page. Oh, and there's actually one more place where they see it. Let me go back to student view so you get their view. Not only are the assignments visible on the grades page, right, where you see the grades here, they're also visible on the syllabus. And the syllabus automatically presents a date-sorted list of all the assignments in the class. And so I hope you can see that for our students, by us putting our assignments inside Canvas, not only do they get the benefit of the instant feedback when we give them grades, they also can see a date-sorted list of all those assignments, and which will help them, of course, with their time management and planning for the semester. That is those 3 steps for giving feedback, right? I created the assignments with the due dates. I typed scores in the grades page. If I want to, I can go to the SpeedGrader, excuse me, to add detailed feedback. And as you saw, right, all of that did not require the students to submit anything online. That was me doing all of the typing and recording the data, which I'm doing anyway. Thank you for watching this video on how to create assignments and use the gradebook in order to comply with the minimum Canvas usage under the LRCFT LRCCD faculty contract. For additional information, please contact your local LMS coordinator.